Minimalists.
Mason wants to know, what advice do you have for someone that's just starting out that wants to have a successful film career like you?
Like you, Matt.
Yeah.
So this is me. Because
You don't actually have to be pithy. You can monitor.
No, I was
Yeah,
just thinking.
monitor.
I was just thinking it would be funny. Like, do you guys always put it in the show notes, even if it's bad? Because then I'm like just gonna say something ridiculous, and then you have to quote it, and then people who are looking at the website are like, "What the heck is this?"
Well, if it's really dumb, we'll bleep it and we'll say it was profound.
Yeah,
It
and
was
we'll
so
make something up,
profound
yeah.
that we could only share it on Patreon.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay, if you want to be a successful filmmaker,
Yeah.
if you want to be a
Hold on.
success,
If you want to be a successful filmmaker
Like
you.
Like you.
Ooh.
That's what it says.
Does it?
Yeah.
Are you talking about me?
Yes.
Maybe another way to look at this, Matt, is like when you think about that college kid, even before you got out of college, like what advice would you give yourself when you were at that point in your life?
Well, I think if you want to find success in any field, you need to first define what success is. That's it.
That's good.
No, but like really, like
Yeah.
you have to
No,
figure
it's
out
great.
what, because he's like saying like if you want to be successful like me, it really depends. Like a lot of times, what it looks like I do isn't actually what I do. Because like you see, like if you love my YouTube videos or you love the like the films that I make, the feeling that you get when you watch that isn't necessarily the feeling that I have when I'm making it.
Right.
It's still like a thrill. I love doing it. It's creative problem solving. But you really need to make sure that you actually love the process of filmmaking and whatever part of that process it is, whether it's the editing or the directing or the filming. I happen to love all of it. And so I think you really have to make sure that if you love what you do, then I really think that that's success. And so, I mean, it just takes...
Ooh, that's a good pithy one too. If you love what you do, that's success. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
That's
you found
good.
it. Okay.
Well, Matt, let me talk to you about that real quick because and maybe this is a generational thing. Ryan and I are cuspers, right? We're technically Gen X, or Ryan is the youngest Gen Xer I know. Or
It is true.
Or he's the oldest millennial I know.
Yeah,
I'm not
one or
sure
the other,
which.
yeah.
Or maybe I'm the oldest millennial.
I
don't
just
know.
claim whatever's convenient that day is what I claim.
Well, here's the thing. What I've noticed, people younger than me and Ryan, and the younger it gets, especially like young millennials, older Gen Z folks, they define success by numbers because we've created a metric for everything. And when Andrew Schultz was on here, he goes, "I don't understand why Jay-Z wants to be a billionaire. Like, now you're just the brokest billionaire."
Yeah.
He's like, or if you just if you convert those dollars to pounds, now you're not a billionaire anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's also like when we see the numbers, and I know I certainly felt this way, like when you see somebody who has 2 million or 3 million subscribers on YouTube, you think that that's like a feeling, like they have like now I have 2 million or 3 million, like whatever, like you think it's going to actually solve all of your problems. And I think this is like what we hear a lot with people who make a lot of money. They realize that, oh, I made all this money and I realized it didn't make me happy.
Yeah.
So many people say, well, of course, like it's nice for you to say that because you have all the money. But Jim Carrey said, like, who else is going to be able to say that from somebody who's experienced it and realized it actually doesn't bring happiness?
Right.
And like I can tell you firsthand, having 0 subscribers and 3 million, yes, it allows me certain things. It allows me to create videos and like it's amazing. But like it doesn't change who you are. It shouldn't. Like maybe there are some people who build up these big followings and then their ego gets inflated. But I would say that those people probably had egos to begin with.
Yeah.
And that following didn't help them.
Are you any happier at 3 million than you were at 1 million or 2 million?
No, I think that like obviously like over the past couple years though, like I've had ups and downs, and like I've had to deal with the struggles of like the pressure of creating for an audience that wants to hear from you.
And sometimes it's made you, I mean, just based on your videos, it's made you less tranquil. It's decreased your well-being because of chasing those numbers, right? Yeah. And not even intentionally chase them. And I will say, Matt, it hasn't changed you at all, and I love that about you, who you are as a person, but you felt some additional pressure that probably decreased your well-being.
Yeah, I think that's like if it did change me, it added more stress, anxiety, and pressure, which like that's what quote unquote like the typical measures of success can do. And so I think that for me, and also like it does come to a degree, and I know that you guys feel this as well. When you love your work, you pour yourself into it, and it's hard to find that line of like overworking and then burnout, and like how do I manage this? And I think the added pressure of people waiting to hear from you maybe made that worse for me. And so, just like where we were talking about earlier, like minimalism is about you continue to ask yourself these questions about what you need, and it changes over time. You have to continue to check in with yourself as a creator or as somebody who's building an online following to make sure that you're not doing it for the metrics and you don't feel like you have to do it, and that you actually want to do it and that you get to do it.
It's one of my favorite things about Netflix is they don't share the metrics with us.
Yeah.
Like, I know, just because of how often people recognize us from the first film, I know a lot of people saw it, but I can't tell you whether it was 30 million or 70 million, and it doesn't really matter. I don't feel any more successful today in 2021 than I did in 2011, because success for me had involved a certain amount of freedom and being financially free, being untethered to obligations, being unattached to the desires. Desire is great. Attachment is suffering, though, right? My pithy answer for Mason is no one can be a better you than you. And I think one of the problems we seek is like, hey, how can I be Matt D'Avella? Well, if you want to be an off-brand Matt D'Avella, you could. There are plenty of them out there. They come up in my YouTube feed all the time.
It's nice. I like it. I find it flattering.
Hi, I'm Dat Miavella.
The funny thing I see is like someone tries to make videos like Matt, and they use like our rules without attributing it. So it's like they're taking the minimalist sort of written philosophy.
Yeah.
They try to mimic Matt's style, and it just comes off as like
that's a great point.
It's like you're eating at a fake McDonald's, like a North Korean McDonald's or something. It's like, what this tastes.
I think it's okay to be inspired, and I think that sometimes people confuse what maybe is the thing. So whether it's like copying thumbnails, and like I certainly pulled tons of inspiration when I started from other people, and like what is going to work for the thumbnail, and I think sometimes we confuse what's actually the important part of it, the important ingredient. And I think if you're just getting started out, like copy my style, do like whatever it is, so then you can learn. But you're probably not going to be able to build an audience doing the same thing that I did. Just like Casey Neistat or Peter McKinnon and other YouTubers that I follow. Like if I did exactly what they did, I probably wouldn't be successful.
Well, it's interesting. It makes me think about how in other countries we have, like in Brazil, there's a Portuguese minimalism website that someone has literally copied and pasted everything that we've done, and they just have put it into Portuguese, and they have called it their own. And guess what? They're not as successful as us. And that's for a couple reasons. Like one, they're not Josh and Ryan. They're not as awesome as us. But no, really, even if, let's say you do mimic someone perfectly, then like you said, Josh, when someone notices that, oh, this person is mimicking the minimalists, then they become a bit of an off-brand. Like they're not as well regarded as you and I. Maybe people do read their work and they're great, and it's great that it's in Portuguese. And I'm actually grateful that someone did that just so our work can be, translated into Portuguese. But as soon as someone sees like, oh, this is just an off-brand Josh and Ryan, that is going to prevent them from, I don't know, being successful or getting the credit that they could be getting by doing their own work.